So we're going to talk about Opendoor and iBuying today. Opendoor has been one of the highest momentum stocks of 2023. The stock is up 231% so far this year. So does this mean iBuying is back? Joining me to talk about it, and I'm sure you know where this is going to go, is real estate naysayer Tyler Crow.
Hey now, I'm not a naysayer on everything real estate. Come on now.
No, that's true. But so right now, I'm going to play the bull side of this, even though I'm not totally for or against buying Opendoor. But right now, only about 1% of all home sales go through the online means, meaning the iBuyers, which there's only really two of them right now. And I believe in 20 years, that percentage is going to be significantly greater. We're going to figure out some efficient way to buy and sell homes online without the need for you to go through a realtor and all this stuff and save money on fees and things like make it easier to sell. Um, but we're not there yet. Um, Opendoor, there are some positive catalysts as to why the stock has tripled. One, and I think even Tyler would agree with me on this, they've done a great job of building out their partnership channels. Roughly 40% of their total sales now come through partnership channels, as opposed to direct to consumer, which is a very high acquisition cost. Their partnership with Zillow is paying off tremendously. They've also have partnerships with Redfin and Realtor.com. In the second quarter, their partnership sales were up 78% sequentially, because that's when really the Zillow partnership kicked in. That has resulted in an 80% year-over-year reduction in marketing spending. And they're just consciously trying to slow down their business. So the partnership thing has been a good thing. And number two, they're doing a good job of getting rid of what they call their old book of assets, meaning anything bought in the second quarter of 2022 or before, when, quite frankly, they paid too much for houses. I heard this is completely anecdotal, but I heard one story of somebody who sold their house to Opendoor for $600,000 and bought their house back for $500,000 a few months later, resulting in $100,000 loss to Opendoor. Good for the home buyer, but 99% of their old book is now gone. And just to kind of put that into context, their old book had 3.1% gross margins. You're not going to make any money with that. While their new book, meaning anything bought after the second quarter of 2022, is resulting in a 14.4% gross margin. Still not a net profitable business, but that's definitely in the right direction. So the two things that I just mentioned, the partnerships and getting rid of their old book of assets when they were really overpaying for homes with growth at all cost mentality, I'm sure Tyler would agree that those are good things. But Tyler, is iBuying back? I know you're not a buyer of Opendoor stock, but is the tripling of the stock price justified? Tough
Probably
question,
not.
right?
Probably not. I mean, look, the the I think the better question, at least for me, is kind of looking at this. And you've mentioned a lot of things that they're improving on, but here's the thing that really needs to be emphasized is like they are underwater, with their relative to how much cash they have on the books, or sorry, how much inventory they have on the books and how much debt they have on the books. They're carrying right now a ton of cash. It was at with restricted cash and available cash, it's like $2.9 billion worth of cash, which looks incredible for a $2.4 billion market cap company, right? But it has $1.1 billion worth of housing inventory and over $3 billion worth of debt. So a lot of its housing stock is still underwater. And that's, a lot of the hangover from what you were just talking of, all those negative gross margin houses that they bought at grow at all costs. The cost was they over-levered, took on too much debt, and have this, weird place. And so it's going to take a really long time to fix the balance sheet errors that they have. It's nice that they have all this cash, but if they were just to pay off that debt, all of a sudden you're looking at a company that is, maybe has $100 million worth of cash left. And so that makes it a fraction of its size. And to me, honestly, I'm really concerned that even though those those things that you say are improving, like improving gross margins, it still isn't enough to improve, you know, to improve on operational profit margins and actually start generating earnings per share, which is going to happen for this business to repair its balance sheet. And I, I think it's going to take so long for that to happen that to me, it just doesn't seem worth the risk.
Yeah, and I was an investor in OfferPad, which is the other publicly traded iBuyer. I ended up getting out of that not soon enough. But the general conclusion I keep coming to with iBuyers is we're just too early. That they made some mistakes with the business model. Both of them did. In the as grow at all cost mentality doesn't work when you're talking about homes that cost $500,000 a piece on average, and you're losing money on each one of them. That's not sustainable growth.
It,
So
it's
I don't
also
know.
dependent too on kind of the velocity of housing, right? Like when I say that, like how many houses are being bought and sold at any given moment, and iBuying only exists for existing homes. Like Lennar, NVR, and all these home buyers aren't, or home builders aren't selling them through Opendoor. It's all existing
Yeah.
homes, and existing home sales have just cratered. So, yes, they could increase market share, but increase market share on such a smaller percentage of homes sold. This is a rough market for
Yeah,
existing home
and
sales.
not only that, the rising rate environment makes it a lot tougher to make a profit. I mentioned their gross margins are improving. That doesn't include financing costs. They borrow money to buy homes and then flip them at a profit. And if a home's sitting on their balance sheet for 6 months, 9 months, a year, and you're paying 7 or 8% on your debt, well, that eliminates most of your gross margin right there. So in a rising rate environment, there's too many factors outside of iBuyer's control to make it a really profitable business model right now, especially, but to be consistently profitable because you're dependent on the real estate market, and it's tough to predict, and maybe it will evolve to where they can predict it um, and do a little better of anticipating inventory turnover quicker. But we're just not there yet. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.